Hi, Caitlin.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. How was your Monday?
Long but good. How about you?
Yeah, today was okay. It's either like my Monday or my Friday turns out to be admin day because people just want to schedule, I don't know, on one of those. So
Yeah,
today was more admin, but still good.
nice. Yeah,
Um, can you start off by just telling me and us a little about yourself? Like, I know you live in Chicago,
yeah,
but where you live and what you do and what you do for fun?
yeah. So I'm Dr. Caitlin Capobianco. I am a PT and I live in Chicago and I primarily work with runners for the most part, some triathletes as well. And then I also work with some CrossFitters and weightlifters as well in the mix there.
Nice.
And I also, besides like having a running focus and lifting focus, I also do pelvic health stuff as well. Primarily, I work with a lot of people like who are CrossFitters and runners and
Yeah,
stuff in that realm. But yeah, and what I
that's
do for fun,
huge.
well, I do a lot of running, and then
Good.
other like to hang with my dogs and hike with my dogs, and
Nice.
even though our hiking is kind of boring in Chicago, but that's okay.
Yeah, there are trails.
Yeah,
You just have to get a little bit creative.
yeah, exactly. They're just not as like mountainy and crazy, but we have fun, going on hikes with the dogs and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think the like trail running in the Midwest is nice too because it's a little bit more relaxed. Where like here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
die going down this mountain,
Fair,
really.
fair. I mean, that's understandable. And yeah, it's definitely like, it's hard to get, it's hard to get like a lot of elevation gain and stuff, which can be tricky, but it is a lot of fun. And we'll see. I might have to like take my trail running to some harder, crazier trails, other places at some point. But right
Yeah.
now, trails. And even those I'm like falling on and stuff. So,
No, it's a journey. It really is. It's a skill,
yeah,
actually.
stuff.
Um, are you training for anything right now?
Uh, yeah, I'm training for actually a trail race right now. Now that we're speaking about
Nice.
trails, um, my first ever true trail race, so that's like fun and exciting. And that is in June, so actually I'm like 3 weeks out from
Oh my gosh.
that.
Wow.
It's called like the Kettle Moraine 100-mile trail race, and it's in Wisconsin,
Okay.
and doing 100 miles. Actually, I'm doing it as a relay. So I'm,
Okay. Okay. I was like, whoa.
yeah, no, that would be impressive. I'm not quite there yet, or if ever, I don't know. But I'm doing it as a relay. So I'm doing like two sections, like a 12-mile and then an 11-mile. That will be like in the middle of the night. So I've never done that either. So it'll be
My
fun.
gosh. Wow. That's so cool. There is one here. There's like a specific Ragnar that does like it's near Rainier Mountain.
Okay.
Rainier Mountain, not Rainier.
Yeah.
that people that people really like to do. And they're like, yeah, the night portion is wild because they're like you can't really see much.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more technical. So
Totally. Yeah.
best of luck. I'm sure you have like a good headlamp and whatnot.
I have lots of lights. So I have like a chest lamp light thing, and then I have a headlamp. And I think I'm gonna get, because I was talking to someone else about some nighttime running stuff, and he suggested that I get like a little small like hand flashlight to carry
Oh
with.
yeah.
Well, so I just still need to get one of those, unless I have one lying around somewhere, which I might.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I've never done it before, so it'll
Yeah.
be a first experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I actually just signed up for my first trail race too. I'm doing one. It's kind of local. It's in Suncadia, which is like, uh,
Oh yeah.
it's
Okay.
not central Washington, but it's
Yeah.
like more east. And it's like a friendly trail race. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit of gain, but it's not like wild where, I don't know. I'm not climbing Mount Rainier.
Yeah, fair. I'm sure it'll still be like a good amount of elevation and gain and stuff, comparatively. Although, like, honestly, like I was saying, it's hard to train here. It's actually even hard to train here for like that race in Wisconsin because it's like more elevation and like rolling hills than we have here. So
Oh my gosh, you just gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, it is gonna happen.
Well, kind of on this topic, because today we're going to be talking about training flexibility. When you're like preparing to train for a race, whatever it is, what are some of like the fundamental things that you like to put in your programming?
Yeah, so when it comes to training for a race, I mean, it'll depend a little bit like on what kind of
Yeah.
race. Like, considering I was just talking about doing this trail race, like my training for this trail race, even though the mileage is like close to like total close to like marathon mileage, my training is like pretty different from what I did on training.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different setup, but definitely if you're doing like longer race, of course, like I think long runs are obviously like super important.
Yeah.
To get those in. I think there's like some flex. I'm actually someone who doesn't run a ton of miles overall.
Yeah. Me
And
neither.
I usually stick to like 4 days a week. I don't really like to run more than that. So my mileage is like a little lower comparatively to some other people, like overall. So, but like obviously getting in some good like base mileage over the week, I think is super important. And then I always try to get in at least 2 days of strength training. I'm trying to be better and get back into my 3. I've been kind of slacking on a little bit lately.
It's hard. Especially if you have to do like a 2 a day, it's like really hard to like fit that in your life. So I feel it.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do, which I always talk to people and like my patients about and stuff, is like, okay, so I have like 2 days that I really basically just strength train. So that's like not too bad. And then the third day is always hard to get in because it has to be like a double day, and that's definitely harder to be said. But also, I've just been trying to just be like, okay, like I just need to like, even if I'm trying to get back in the rhythm, like now before I get, because I'm basically going to go straight into marathon training after I'm done with this. So I'm trying to get on the habit of just even doing, even if it's like I only do three exercises and I do like 3 rounds of that. It only takes me like 15 minutes. So it's like a good, start to kind of dive in and like get going with that. So that's the goal right now. What other things I haven't? Obviously, like rest days are really important for me. I want at least one full rest day, and then depending on how I'm feeling, there might be another one in there if I feel like I really need it. Like last week, I actually had 2 because I just wasn't feeling great, which is why we're talking about training flexibility things. But yeah, so rest days are super important, and then everything else will vary like on race, and I like to try and get in some workouts and speed work, but actually right now that's kind of actually something I was doing at the beginning of this training cycle, but I actually dropped off of it because I was just like hitting peak stuff right now. I was like feeling like I was maybe overdoing some stuff, so I was like, first thing to go for me is intensity. Because the least important thing for this trail race. The grand scheme of things. But normally I will try to get some of that in, but not as much right now. I'm still doing some like strides, but not like a lot of more formal workouts, at least right now, but planning to get back into them soon.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like those are actually pretty much my same things too. If I'm like really terribly sore, maybe I'll put some like mobility stuff in there. But I would really say that is something that I don't do super often, like maybe 1 to 2 times a week. Maybe even 0 to 2 times a week. But really, like, as long as I'm strength training and then like maybe doing like 1 or 2 mobility things at the end, and that's really sufficient, I think, for me.
Yeah, totally. And I'm kind of on the mix with that too. I don't do it a ton either. I have been getting in a little bit more regularly, or trying to. I've been kind of up and down with that as well, but still maybe only like a couple days a week at the most. Trying to mix them in just because I've been on and off since last year, since marathon training last year. I've been having some on and off hip pain that I'm still figuring out a little bit, but it definitely a little better if I work on certain mobility stuff before my run. So I try to at least get that in, like the night before if I can. And I should be more diligent about it. But I'm not.
So many things to think about.
Yeah.
If you're like, once you have your plan, so either you created it yourself or you have a run coach or friend made it for you, how rigid do you feel like you need to be to your plan to like
Mhm.
be successful, aka like finish your race?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like comparatively to like a lot of other people, I'm really not that rigid to my plan.
Nice.
I think it varies a bit. Like I said, I've been like talking to a lot of people about training flexibility. I talk a lot about posts and stuff when I, because it's something I just do a lot. I alter
Yeah.
stuff around,
Yep.
just because like for me, it's just kind of works better that way. Everyone's going to be a little different in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, like something I see in a lot of the runners I work with and stuff is that people get too rigid in their plans and are like so afraid
Yeah.
to go because it's like, yeah, like you said, what do you need to get in to like get to the final thing? And of course, there is an amount of you have to get in to finish your race and maybe do
Yeah.
what kind of how well you want to do and all that kind of stuff. But I think like in the grand scheme of things, it's always good to remember like while sometimes it can be overwhelming to be like, oh my gosh, I can't like skip this one run. But like when you think about it, like one run is like absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of all the runs and things you got in for training. So like thinking about, and of course, if it's like every single run you have to skip, then that's going to be like a problem.
Yeah.
But like one run, or even like they say, like even like with a week of missed runs, you're really not going to lose that much fitness. So like depending on what's going on, it might be better to just take some extra rest days, or sometimes it's as simple as just swapping, like I'm going to do strength today, swap it with my run day, or I'm going to, instead of doing this run workout, I'm just going to do easy miles
Yeah.
or whatever it is to give your body a little bit extra rest. Like I find is more beneficial, you know, in the long run, whether it's like physically your body isn't feeling good and ready for it, and like if you kind of push through, sometimes that just means like, okay, then every like run is still going to feel either like you can't really go all out in your workouts and things you want to do, or then like injury or sickness or something else, and then you actually like for sure can't do your run. So to me, I'd rather that extra time to like not prolong whatever it is I'm feeling, or if it's just mental, like I'm just mentally not in a place where I feel like I can run today and do this workout, switch this out. Like I know we've all probably been in spots where you get in a really bad mental set. I mean, I remember I had a couple weeks a while back, like my partner was telling me like how I was like waking up every day and saying how much I didn't want to run, and it was like
That totally happens. It totally does.
or I'm like, oh boy, like that's not great. I'm not in that place anymore,
That's
but
good.
yeah, and like that's not a great way to like go into a race either, and feeling like you're forcing every single thing you're doing. So
Yeah, for sure. That's super helpful. Yeah, I think when I look at my training plans, or if I'm working with a client and making a training plan for them, looking at like the end goal of like, okay, I want to be like, this is a distance race for me, or maybe they're doing a 5K for speed or whatever. Like look at the end goal and then say, okay, these are the exercises. These are the days that we need to target the most. Like if you're going to do a marathon, you need to get miles under your feet.
totally.
If you're gonna do speed, like 5K for speed, then like just do speed work. And like it's okay to omit things, or just swap them to still get the desired result. What are some ways, I know you said a couple, but do you have any like tricks of ways to like flex things to make it fit your week better, depending on, you know, if it's a time restraint or you're just like sick or something?
I mean, like I think for me, one of the easiest ways to flex, I guess, that can be like a pretty easy one if you do. I mean, I generally recommend people have a rest day at least in their week. Having a rest day is like helpful, because then if you have to take an impromptu rest day, like up and you're feeling like super crappy, or the day gets crazy and you can't get your run in, your workout in, and you can honestly be like, okay, well today's going to be my rest day, and now becomes this workout day or whatever. Or flip-flopping a couple things around if you need to with that, but like that can be a really easy one kind of off the bat. Put that out. The other thing, kind of like you were saying, like ranking kind of importance of things, like,
Yeah.
well, what's the most important if I skip this one, or like I think this run or workout is really important, like should I switch it out for another day because I think it's then like this recovery run, or I think it's more important than maybe I don't need this extra strength workout this week, and maybe I'll just like cut one of those for the week, or cut it a little shorter so that I can do 2 in the same day, or whatnot, kind of switching stuff like that. Is kind of usually how I have people go with that. I don't know if you have your own thoughts on best ways to switch out.
Yeah, I would say I really like having like at least one rest day. I think that that's a good, I don't know, plan. But then, yeah, just ranking, figuring out what's the most important, and then going from there. And then I think I really like what you said about changing the strength workouts to be a little bit shorter. So it's like, okay, this isn't going to be as daunting for me to get like a, hour strength workout in. And maybe I could pair it with like another day if I just have to do 15, 20 minutes worth, then it feels okay to do like it in the same cycle. And then I think as you get further into your training cycle, like things start to get more intense. Some of my clients like anticipate that and they're like, how am I going to get everything in? And I'm like, you don't have to. Like once we get to that level, your strength training is not going to be what it is now because you have a tissue threshold and like you're going to blow past it if we're doing the same amount of training for the whole cycle of your running.
Yeah, those are kind of like all my go-tos. For me, I'm not someone who does a lot. I mean, besides strength training, I wouldn't say I do any cross training. So, for me, I think that's another way to like switch out for people. Like if say you do like have a regularly scheduled like cross training in your midst, like of your training schedule, like if you have like, oh, on this day I usually like bike for this time, like get rid of the bike and run in, or get your other like most important things in, because cross is definitely going to be the least important of all of that stuff. But
yeah, that's definitely a good point. What are some signs that you're like maybe that you need to do less, or you need to have flexibility, or maybe like signs that you're actually probably overtraining or just doing too much?
I think that can be like one of the hardest things for people to kind of piece out. Sometimes obviously there's like the major signs of like your body hurts, things are painful, like those are like really clear, obvious signs to people. I mean, also kind of like feeling run down, getting sick kind of stuff can be a fairly easy one, but can still be hard to like kind of switch out of and be like, okay, maybe I need to do a little less. Like I call that the, like not whether you're full blown sick, like last week, the reason I altered my stuff was because I was feeling like I was like on the cusp of just getting sick. I was like, one more thing, and I'm just gonna like tilt in there. Which like then I don't want to be sick for a whole week. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Like not hopefully, I mean, there's no guarantees, but what can I try to switch to give my body just like a little bit more rest to hopefully not edge into that true sick zone. So I just feel like feeling run down, that kind of stuff. Some other big ones like mentally, like I just like slept bad and you're just feeling really tired and fatigued. Can be some other ones like appetite. This can also be a tricky one, being like, oh, like I'm all of a sudden just like I'm not hungry at all for anything, even if you're another tricky one is like if you're just like really like really moody sometimes, like every which sometimes you can just feel that way. So it's weird to feel out that one, but mood changes can be a big one in that as well. Whether you're noticing that or someone else like coming up to you being like, hey, you're really in a mood right now. That can be some of the biggest signs. Like I try to just really in touch with like sometimes it might be physical stuff for me. I feel like a lot of times I take a more look at like mentally how I'm feeling. Because I know you're talking about like the stress threshold kind of, and I talk to people a lot about while we usually think about that in the physical sense of like, all right, so like this is our training load, and we kind of steadily increase that and kind of pushing what we can handle, but we kind of have that like line that if you pop above it, it's not great. You're going to get sick. You're going to get injured, whatever. And I always talk to people about like your training is there, but also like your work stress, your life stress, like if you're feeling sick, like all of that stuff goes together. So like if you're
totally
all up together, like you need to take into mind like, okay, did you have like a really stressful week with like something happened with your family, or like work was really crazy and you didn't really get to sleep a lot and meals were kind of hit or miss, and like all of that stuff will add into like how your body recovers. Kind of you're saying like if you're overtraining, or what you would say you're under recovering potentially instead of overtraining.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so things to kind of keep in mind, which can be hard because like you can't control all the life things. So
no, definitely can't.
Take into mind in the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think I really like what you said about not feeling hungry. I feel like that's just a weird one, but I always think like after runners do their long run, people are like, oh my gosh, don't you just want to like eat everything? And I'm like, no, like I literally like cannot stomach anything. And I feel like if that kind of persists past that, that's a huge red flag. I think that's a great one. Kind of along the lines of that is like if you're starting to like miss your period, that's a huge one where your body's like, okay, we're actually not in like a safe place anymore. So like we need to, it's like shutting that down. That's a big one. And then another one that is, I didn't really start noticing this until, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago, but I would get like really just like joint soreness. Like my knees would feel like achy, and like, you know, I was like, I'm too young to have these problems. And also like we shouldn't be training to the point where that we're like feeling achy. So I think that's when I really started either not training back-to-back days with running, or putting strength training in like the day after, to give my like cartilage some time to just like decompress and chill.
Yeah, no, totally get what you mean with that. That makes a lot of sense, and I definitely will feel that on certain like weeks or long runs, and I'll be like, oh, like you said, just kind of joint, like my whole, like sometimes after, you know, like a week, I'll just be like, my whole body just feels like I don't even know how to describe it. Like my whole body just feels like heat. Like I don't even know what I do. Everything kind of not like hurts really bad, but it's just like that doesn't feel amazing. Like a lot of spots in your body all at once, and you're like, that's like not really where I want to be. That's not totally right. Versus like I know if I have like a good week and I feel good, I'm like, okay, like I might be like a little sore in certain spots from things, but I'm not like that vague achiness like all over my body.
Yeah, for sure. Which like that's just, I feel like some runners are like, oh, this is just part of training. Like I should just feel like this. And I'm like, that's, you don't have to.
I know, it's crazy. I always have so many combos about the pain threshold, and I talk to like, I was talking to someone I work with, and she's like, I just like am not, she's like, I just like won't, I just can't push myself to run through like those amounts of pain and stuff. And I was like, I know, well, you shouldn't really, but like, you know, I always talk about, some people will be like, oh, this person seems like never have any problems, and they're never, like some people are like they feel great and they never are, but I'm like, well, some people are just like they're in pain, they're just not saying anything about it and like aren't vocalizing it to anybody, so you just have no idea how they're feeling in the runs. And
that's for sure. This is kind of a thrown in question, but I'm just curious. Do you ever schedule for yourself or your clients like an off week in the middle of their training cycle, or like somewhere in their training cycle, to really just take like pretty much a planned week or just certain duration of time off as they're ramping up for something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually plan like, I mean, I guess it would depend on the person and like one, kind of how long the training cycle potentially is. Then, you know, taking into consideration as well, like, kind of like how long they've been running, and like, are they a newer runner? running longer, all that can kind of impact that. I really scheduled a full week off of my own. I definitely down weeks.
Yeah.
People's training schedules, like, every 3 to 4 weeks they have a down week before like ramping back up again. And kind of what I do the down weeks for myself and then for other people is depending on how they're feeling. Like at that point, like I have a scheduled plan of like, this is what I want to do in the down week. And that might, like, I just might cut a lot more out of that potentially if I'm like pretty beat and I need the extra rest. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna cut way more miles out of that. I'm gonna like totally scrap any intensity or something like that. But I haven't intentionally taken a full like week off. I did like, my last marathon training cycle, I did like I went on vacation in the middle, and so my training was not amazing when I was there. I ran a couple, but all my runs were capped at like 5. I think 5 miles is the longest I ran.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hiking and stuff, but it was like I basically didn't do a lot of running for like 11 days. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
I just
great.
I asked because I've had a couple of people that I've worked with that I never intentionally really schedule like a full off week, but they're like, I'm going to France, or like this girl's like, I'm going on a cruise. And she's like, I'm gonna run my long run on the cruise, and I was like, please don't. I was like, you don't have to. And everyone has had really good success so far, so I've kind of just kept it in my back pocket of like, okay, like if you need to have an off week, and like maybe that looks like, running 3 miles or not a ton in the scheme of like what they need to do. It has worked, and I just think that speaks to like the volume of being flexible and like trusting that if you're showing up most of the time, you're gonna get there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting point and something to consider. Like you said, like I don't feel like taking, and I probably will have other times like that just because like, life happens, you go on vacation, you do this, and like I'm definitely someone who like is not going to be that person running a long run when I'm on vacation. I might run a little bit, but like I'm not going to run, like honestly, I don't even know. I would say I definitely wouldn't run more than 10 miles, but I probably wouldn't even run 10 miles. That would be like real. I probably wouldn't run more than 6 if I'm being truly honest with myself.
We need the brutal honesty.
I
gotta know the truth here.
I don't think I would run more than 6 miles, but if I'm going on a short trip, I might do my long run early or something like that. But a longer trip, I'm like I'm all about like, I mean, I love traveling and vacation, so I'm like, I'm just enjoying myself, and I'm usually a pretty active vacationer. I don't do like lounging at the beach and things like that. Like,
me too.
Scuba diving, and so I'm like getting a lot of activity anyways. So I'm like, I usually just kind of keep that in mind. Like thinking of last year when I went on this trip and we were in Switzerland, which was gorgeous, and did a lot of hiking there. And to kind of quote simulate a long run fatigue, we did like a long hike that was like a lot of elevation gain, because that's like the only hikes they have there, like very steep elevation gain. And after we got down, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on a 4-mile run like immediately after we got back. And I did that, and it wasn't like a long run, but it was like tired from hiking for 3-4 hours, and then I'm gonna like run a little bit more.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a great way to do that. Any other thoughts about training flexibility or training or running in general?
I mean, I guess when it comes to training flexibility, the reason like I talk to a lot of people about it, and I try to talk about how I do it in mine, just like give people ideas of like, it can be really daunting and overwhelming to figure out how to do that, and like over stress about it. I mean, obviously like having a coach you work with can be really helpful because they can help determine that for you, like what's okay to switch, how to switch, all that stuff. But if you're, working on your own, it's important to, keep in mind, or you might not be able to like chat with your coach in the last minute. Figure out what to switch for. So having like some, like knowing how to do that for yourself, I think can be like really, really important. But it's just like, it takes time. And I think the other thing is like, takes time. It takes like, you need to like know that like things are going to be okay if you have to switch things around, knowing that that's not going to like explode your whole training cycle. Whether it's like you even just think back to a time when you like had a training cycle and you weren't able to get in all your runs for whatever reason, you were sick or this or that, and like probably were fine. Like even if you have to think back to something like that, to be like, okay, like if I miss this run, it's not going to ruin my whole training cycle. And just kind of figuring out and like being kind to yourself about it. I think I was talking last week about like, even while I love training flexibility and I use it a lot, I think even sometimes I can get really, you know, in the world of running, can be really competitive, and you feel like, oh my God, I want to do what everyone else is doing, and I hope I'm like doing enough, and like, am I don't want to say weak, but am I like weak for like taking the out, and like just trying to be, which takes practice in all things, just being more compassionate with yourself and being like, hey, this is okay. Like, I need to focus on like what I'm doing and know that this will be best for me. Like, and just like not beating yourself up about skipping things or switching things around and stuff like that, and knowing that I'll be okay. And even if you do like, you have things going on with yourself that you do have to cut back and you can't get to X, Y, and Z, whatever goal you had originally planned, like, okay to change your goals, and it's okay that like, I mean, you're never going to be able to do something. It just means that maybe right now is not the right time for that.
Yeah, that is for sure. That's really good. Well, thanks for coming on and talking about flexibility. I think it's huge, and just we need to just learn more about this. Where can we get more from you? Like, is Instagram the best place to find you, or anything else?
Right now, Instagram is the best place to find me. On here. That's why I do like most of my posting and everything. I am not a TikTok person. I don't, because I was just too overwhelmed by that, and I think I don't want to say I'm too old, because I know that's not true, because other people who are older and all sorts of ages use TikTok, but it's just not for me. And I have been like working on revamping a website, but I've been really behind in getting it. So I'm working on creating a new website. I have an old one that I don't really use anymore. Instagram is kind of like the number one place right now to connect with me virtually, and then also I have like links in my stuff too for my in-person stuff as well in Chicago. So
nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin. I learned a bunch from talking to you, and I'm excited to just keep following you and learning from you.
Yeah, you too. It's good to chat with all my running PTs and stuff.
Yes, it is fun. It is like a nice little community on here.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Have a good rest of your day, and thanks again.
Yeah, you too.